Oh, okay. So you've used AP Insight, but you just haven't been able to get started yet this year. Okay, I'll communicate that. What high school? Where you at down there? Sorry, I forget. Oh, cool. Got it. Delivered a horse down there a few years ago, Plant City. We have two right now. Mark from Massachusetts and up Boston area, and Kelly's logged on, but haven't heard from her yet. Yes, everybody can see it. Hi, Kelly. uh, until I hit the record button, of course. My list has, looks like about 10. But I'm not sure how that works. Got about a minute left, but we'll give them an extra minute, and you know how the school day goes. Well, one of the participants is from Hawaii, so it's a little bit early in the morning for her. I guess it wouldn't be that early. Yeah, no kidding. Since this is mostly a conversation that I'll be facilitating, I will give it a minute or two for see if we can get a couple more signing on. But otherwise, time is precious for everybody, so I'll make sure to get started here pretty soon. We'll give it about 2 more minutes. So it's building block 2.9, that quiz that we're going to go over. The reading materials below, if you have those up, that's probably all you need. Feel free, especially with small numbers, feel free to ask questions. So if there's something in AP Insight that you want to go to and then ask about, that's certainly fine. Yeah, this kind of fits in. This is definitely the first one I do, 2.9, so this would work for this particular quiz. It's that time of year. Mark, how long have you been in school, in session? Yeah. Teenage brain. Okay. Yeah, we had interims last week. We're in sixth week of first quarter. Jesse, how long you been? Well, you're probably not way behind, but because of the storm. How many weeks have you been in? True. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was incredible. Your town okay? School? Good. Okay. Okay, guys, I think, let me read this. Sorry about that. Incredible experience. All right, guys, I think we're going to get rolling here. Want to make sure that you know, first of all, at any time, feel free to ask a question. You can do it in the chat area. On the top of your screen, there's a little universal figure of a person raising their hand. You can use that pull-down menu you want to raise your hand anytime, like I just did. If I'm missing what you're typing in, feel free to do that, and then you just have to lower it manually. But yeah, anything. Small world, you guys. If you have any questions, just let me just fire away. And big picture, this professional development, this meeting here is for you guys. So I will go the direction that you want to go. Certainly have slides planned, but we'll go from there. All right. So as you know, we're talking about the building block quizzes. We'll look at one particular one, 2.9. Sorry about that. And then we'll go ahead and look at the reports, and more importantly, then what do we do with this? Pardon me, I'm going to go hang this up. Just like teaching, right? When you start, get announcements or something. Yep, that's exactly what it is. All right, let's roll. Okay, so as I said, you can put stuff in the chat box. we're here to just kind of talk as teachers and figure out how we can use this tool a little bit better. I can share my experiences. Um, it does assume that you have your completed challenge area roadmap, though we're not going to use it, so I wouldn't worry about that. It's just that assumption that you kind of have an idea of what we're going to go, and we want to kind of deepen our understanding here. So. These solar panels. I wish I could get some solar panels. I've had 2 quotes, just can't pull the trigger yet. All right, so our goal, want you to understand how to better integrate. Sounds like, Jesse, you've been using it. Kelly, have you been using this at all? Oh, okay, outstanding. So just trying to deepen our understanding with this. I've always said I was part of. I guess I should have introduced myself. I'm a high school teacher here in Sycamore. I've been right when AP biology was being redesigned, AP Insight also got started, and so I was involved in a lot of the review and writing for this program, and I've been using it ever since. And being an old teacher, I had a lot of tools. So to be honest, a lot of the tools in it I haven't used, but the heart and soul of AP Insight and what I absolutely love is the building block quizzes, and then kind of the reflection. I'm not an edge of speak guy, but the metacognition that it teaches kids to do. I've really used, and really the last 2 years, I've used every building block quiz in there. All right, Kelly. Well, if you have any questions, fire away. I hope we can help you here. All right. So you kind of have an idea now what our goal is. So let's motor. Lots of lists of agenda. So we'll talk about giving it, understanding what the report looks like, and most importantly, what do we do? I mean, this is just a formative assessment tool that is very, very. It has the flavor and the flavor of the summative exam. It looks like AP exam, so it's after what we want to do in this new course. All right, so if you you've probably already done this. I know, Jesse, you kind of suggested that you're probably D there, but kind of let me know where you're at. Well, Kelly, you're supporting the program, and so learning more. So I don't know if this really applies. Mark, I'm not sure where you're at. Okay, right now. All right. As far as your kids go, it sounds like you haven't quite gotten there, but you about ready to. All right, outstanding. All right, let's motor. So want to make sure we understand what challenge areas and building blocks are. They're even though this is 2.9, which you would think it's building block or big idea 2, it really does have crosses over into building big idea 4. But these, when you complete a building block, you complete a step towards mastery of a challenge area. The challenge area is really, they're all LOs. They're all based on LOs, learning objectives. But by mastering that challenge area, that particular learning objective, the level that you're using it means that you probably understand most of what's in that gray box in the formative assessment. Okay. This is what I think is the strength of these building blocks is they're diagnostic in nature, and so the wrong answers will tell you something. It'll tell the students immediately something, And I'll tell you now, and I'll share it again later, what I find is what you think that what their misunderstanding is, often you're finding more test-taking mistakes, more focus mistakes than anything else. But the students, if nothing else, become much more meticulous in diagnosing what the question is and realizing how much focus these type of questions require. I give it after. My take on these building block quizzes is the student. What I tell my students is act like you are going to take a test. So you understand it. You're ready to take the test. Take these building block quizzes, and those will diagnose your misconceptions, your misunderstandings, your gaps in understanding before we actually do the summative. So my approach is, if we have a test on a Wednesday, I'll give all the building block quizzes on Friday and say that they do them for homework, and they're due at 6 a.m. on Monday. So what that means is when I arrive at school, I can see these reports and I can make decisions about what we're going to do. Do I need to, are we okay? Do I need to fill in gaps? Do I need to correct some misconceptions? Hopefully just tweak things before we get there. So Jesse, you want a way to look at all the questions in one place. So have you printed them out? So I always make hard copies, so when we're going over them, now I'd have to refresh my memory, but usually when I log on, you can view it and then you print it and you're getting all the questions. And so I usually do that as I assign it because it's the same screen. So you can always view or assign. So as you are assigning them, go ahead and print them. And print the, I also 50 clicks for all of them. But yeah, I do it as the year goes on. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but see if we can get that cleared. And maybe, so AP Insight, you'll see at the end, there's a email, and I'll look into it too, and there's an email address that they might have a way that you can quickly do that. This is being recorded, and so your one question about some logistic things, will be noted in this also. So we'll try to help you out there. But I have over the years made a binder of not only my students' results, but all the questions and the questions with answers, so that and I just did it as I went. So it did take some time. Yeah. Okay. Well, the roadmap, the backwards design. Yeah, I agree with you. You're absolutely right. But they do have a conversion tool that is a little broader, but uses the content from the AP curriculum framework and links it, and so where these all would fit. So anyways, we can continue. Hi, Ann. We just kind of got going and are just kind of introducing what building blocks were and how we use these building block quizzes. But feel free to ask the questions anytime as we go, and I can review anything if we start talking about something you're not sure what it is. Okay, so if you could, it sounds like, Jesse, you might have just done this, but if Mark and Kelly and Ann could take, in the reading materials is a building block quiz or an AP Insight itself. I will pause, in a couple minutes I will advance, and I think question 3 is in the next slide and question 4. But if we could take these 4 questions. And as you take them, as you can see on the slide, what we're interested in is, what are these questions asking your students to do? Which student struggles are addressed by this building block? Bottom line is, how are we going to use it in our classroom? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to take questions 1 through 3 and 4, and if you could let me know in the chat area when you're finished, that would be awesome. Thanks, Jess. My personal feeling is this is probably the most factoidish, if that's a word, of any of them. I think they just get better from this point on. Whoa. So I don't think you need the entire, I'll have to show you, but if you go to the Assess, if you're an AP Insight, if you go to the Assess tab and view results. Thanks, Mark. All right, Kelly. When we get a picture, Jesse, of the AP Insight, but the Assess tab, you can see view results, and once you get a report, I haven't done it yet, so I don't have one here to talk you through it step by step, but you can click on individual questions that would have the answers along with the students and how they did. But yeah, that teacher guide is really long and has a lot of the success criteria in it, and I don't think that is what you're looking for. But I'm noting these questions to get a hold of, so we can talk. All right, so let's go ahead. So we're going to give you the answers here. They also, I think, they might be part of the materials, but let me go on my other computer so I can talk you through it. It is on the Assign or the Assess tab. Let me go backwards here. Sorry. No, I apologize. The Act tab. And then when you go to the Act tab, in your screen you should see View Latest Assessment Results. And this is if you took them. When you hit that, especially this early in the year, it's probably the only one that comes up. But let me know if you can't find that, Kelly. All right, so let's have the discussion. So what do you think these questions are asking students to know and be able to do? Any thoughts? Really, either one. Which student struggles are addressed by this building block quiz? Yeah, so definitely the process of the macromolecules, what they do. Yeah, I agree. Yes, you did. If you said macromolecules, that's absolutely it. Yeah, they do need a little bit deeper, certainly deeper than memorization, understanding of macromolecules. But also, what did they have to do? I mean, how was the information presented to them that's different than, I guess, the traditional course, which seems like an eternity ago? So I think you know that the question, so I'm going to page forward here. Um, Same conversation, same step, questions we're asking. But, if you notice in, these questions, they use a model. And by the way, just from my experiences since the redesign, that word model is used more in the curriculum framework than any other of the science practices and bothers the heck out of students. So I highly recommend using that as often as you can, and it is present in AP Insight a lot. But they had to, it wasn't just memorization. They had to use a model to identify the atoms, and then they had to analyze data to classify. So it's just a little bit different. It's not what they memorized in their notes or memorized in their, um, from their textbooks. And really, for the dehydration and hydrolysis, the same thing. Okay, as Mark is finishing up that, we'll like the idea students have to look at. Yeah, and it's I don't know, is it a higher level thinking that is what they're going to do times 10 on the AP exam, and I say times 10 because they're going to be looking at data from research, a study that they've never seen before, and so just having that comfort level, they're teenagers, that practice of okay, I haven't seen this before. Let's figure out, have a strategy for figuring out what it's talking about, and then be able to answer questions. Thanks, Mark. That's good. And you weren't here earlier. Just want to let you know that this is a kind of just more of a conversation, trying to get an understanding of the building blocks. And we're using 2.9, and then we're going to be going on to interpreting the reports here in a second. Yes, I think we're in a different conversation here, Kelly, but you're talking about, yes, for each of my classes is separate, and so I can look at these, I do that. I look at not only individual kids, but how individual classes, and my goodness, this year is going to be night and day. I have two classes that are very different than the third one. Absolutely. What I love is, for the way my approach is, they're taking this at home and they're getting their immediate return, report, and so that report isn't just right or wrong. It's okay, if you got it wrong, this is a possible reason why. So they're immediately being reflective. Yes, you will give them an access code. I honestly, we were late to sign up, and I have not entered my students yet, and I need to do that. I know in the past I had strips of paper that gave them a code, a password, but I have to refresh. So I don't know if anybody remembers how to do that, but once again, AP Insight help, and I can give you my email, and I can check it quickly this evening or tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to show you a couple things there. All right. Just let me know. Thanks, Jess. I agree, Kelly. That's going to be awesome. Yeah, you're right. That's didn't have to know those kind of details. Okay, in the original pilot. Yeah, we weren't part of that, but I think we looked at a lot of your results. Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and continue on. So when you get this report, this is one view of it, and it tells you a couple pieces of information. First of all, the overall, and so you get the red, yellow, and the green, and this is kind of tough because you've got to get 100% to get a green, and so a lot of times you see yellow and or red, that might cause you to react one way that really might not be justified. You just miss one, depending on how many questions. There might only be 3, might be 4. You only have to miss 1 to get it yellow, or maybe 2, and then you're in the red. So you really have to kind of look at each question and ask yourself a lot of questions to determine. But that's the big picture. I like this a lot. I look at this for each. Kelly was talking about each period. I'll look at each period and say, is there particular questions? My rule of thumb is over half the kids miss it. Or if there's one that there seems to be a lot of them missing it, even if it's not quite half, that's the one I'm going to focus on and make some decisions about going over and how to move forward there. And then the other one is individual student understanding. And so if I go to that slide, you get each student, and you kind of see a big picture of who's missing what questions. And when I look at these, I kind of look, okay, who missed all of them? Who missed 3 of them? Is this person is this their best effort? There's so many possible reasons for missing a question that I try to make my best guess as as I'm looking at this to kind of help guide me a little bit. Okay, so what does each of them mean? I kind of inferred already a little bit, but after the big question, for instance, this one was nitrogen deficiency. Question, I believe number 1. Mine's a little foggy, a little small, my screen here, but that's saying that it looks like 10 and 10 or 10 and 12. So what do you do here? What do you guys think? You've got 10 that got it wrong, and you've got close equal amount that it's 10 and 10 that missed it. What do you do? Code red. I like the attitude. You gotta laugh. Yeah, that's an option. You can look at doing something, whether it's we're going to talk about what next here in a little bit, but it could be homework, it could be a small group that you need to reteach. You also got to look at what is the reason they missed it, and so what was the choice that they chose. There you go. I like that. No, that's outstanding. I haven't used that, Kelly. That's pretty good. That's very good. Whole idea is having time sometimes. Teachers. I appreciate the help. All right, that's motor. All right, so this is a nice, yes, I agree, Mark, nice segue here. So the building blocks are written to specific understandings and misunderstandings. And so, as you can see here with this choice of A, for this, if they mark that. So when you're looking at the report, it will tell you what the correct answer is. But if they chose A, you can see written below that they start with a positive. That's what we're all taught, right? The answer suggests the student may understand that carbon is present in many biomolecules. However, they do not understand that nitrogen is an essential element in every amino acid, and that amino acids are used to synthesize proteins. And so they can go on and say, the students may not be able to describe how, CHON, PS is incorporated into these minerals. And that is very well could be the reason, but it also could be just they didn't read the question carefully. I tell mine to do them for homework over the weekend. They're teenagers. What are the odds that they're rushing through it? Sometimes pretty high. And so you got to kind of, as we all do, take all the possibilities. But if there's a theme that they're always picking the same one, it just jumps out at you that it needs taken care of. All right, so same thing. If they've got the right answer, they have, what does this mean? What does that mean that they understand? And that's what the success criteria is all about. Likewise with each incorrect answer. I don't think we need to read through the specifics of each of these, but it gives you a guide there. All right, so what do you do? After that, I liked the idea of having the greens teach the reds, but there is a kind of a it's under the ACT tab again, so it's a what next, and so you can see those circled there. It's a building block next step guide, which is teachers and students, and I think they one of the handouts in the reading materials below is the next steps guide there, and I want to get this on my other one, and it just talks about it's a metacognition. It's a reflective routine that the kids go through. So what did you miss? What was the reason you missed it? So it helps them, puts the burden a little bit on their shoulders, though as teachers we definitely want to be a part of that. And so this is the sorry, the PDF I had of the slides didn't have this. So you can see the teacher's version and the student version, where it gives them direction. So this is generic. It's not different for everyone. And so once you do this a couple times, this is almost doesn't need to be written out. This is a routine the students go through. Okay, but and once again, the first couple times using the teacher's version, I honestly don't look at that a lot anymore. I have in my mind what my routine of trying to diagnose what the issue is. Okay, so how can I use the Next Steps guide to help students analyze and reflect on their progress? So it says here, share your summary of what was most difficult for the class based on the questions with which the students struggled, and explain how the correct answer and the associated success criterion shows evidence of mastery. So we don't have a large group, and I think we've had this conversation here, but what do you think would be most difficult? It says here, what was most difficult for the class based on the questions. What do you suspect students will struggle with in this type, in this one example of the building block? Yeah, I was really surprised with my kids, how they struggled just with that hydrolysis data. Just looking at the data and keeping track of it. Yep. Boom. You're feeling pretty good tonight, huh, Jeff? Yes, I agree with you. It's so different. It's fun to teach, but it is difficult. Yep, good. I'm glad to hear that. Thanks, Kelly. What's kind of nice is, yep, I have a statement that I use with my kids a lot: becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I use that just because they're constantly looking at stuff they've never looked at, data or stories or experiments. No, they do not. No, they've been piloted and vetted, and there's a lot of time and probably money. I don't know that went into it, but they're secure. And, well, I guess that's not necessarily true, but they're new to the kids every year, so they work. Yes. Oh wow, I didn't ever have to put a number on it. So if I hit this next button here, you can see that you can approach this either as a whole group or individuals. I remember one that I really liked. One of the questions for oxidation reduction was looking at a model translation. It was glycolysis, and it said what is an example of a oxidation reaction, and the kids did poorly on it. And I thought going in they understood it, and so I read what we could do as an activity, as a small group, large group. The suggestion they gave was awesome. I had the kids open up the textbook, and we did this for every part of respiration and photosynthesis. I said, okay, let's go to glycolysis. I want you to take your finger and I want you to place it where oxidation reduction is taking place. And I've never seen so many floating fingers as they were looking around, not wanting to commit, waiting for somebody else. And so I was able to help them there. Then we went to the next spot and the next spot, and within about 3, they were able to nail it. And so it was very quick, probably 10 minutes, and we had solved that misunderstanding. Yeah, I agree. It is about why are we doing this? Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, they're teenagers, they've got pressure, but I really do think that culture, and you just stick to it, that we're here to learn, we're here to grow, and if they understand what you're trying to do and see the value, I find most of the time, do the right thing. And for these type, I don't grade these. They get credit. Like, let's say there's 3 formative or 3 questions. I think I give them 3 points for doing it. Something really small, so there's no real incentive to do it. The incentive is to do it correctly so that they can learn and grow from it. Yeah. Yes, that's what I count. But I mean, I want to say if I gave 3 building block quizzes, that had 4 questions in each of them, I think the whole homework is 12 points. You know, I might have 500 points in a quarter, so it's, you know, certainly could add up, but it's for doing it, not for getting them right or wrong. So there's no incentive to cheat. You know, certainly they could just put any answer down, but, you know, there are only 3, so they tend to try 3 or 4. Yeah, it's sad, but you're correct. Oh, stole your thunder. Maybe we ought to say great minds think alike, right? Okay, so that's what's nice about these next steps is there's a whole group approach, there's a small group, there's individuals, lots of choices to choose from. And, you know, for those of us that have been around for a while, you know, you have your own tools. It's not a canned approach to formative assessment. It's just more tools to consider. Okay, so the next step guide and ACT resources, the ACT being that tab. So after students complete the action plan, ask them to answer the final questions in the next step guide to evaluate the process. This assignment can be done as homework. You know, once again, that reflectiveness, you know, did the next step help? Where you find it's just continuing that metacognition. I do. So the first quiz, which will be 2.9, and frankly, because we signed up late, it's late, but that's okay. We'll do in class to make sure they have it, and then from that point on, they do it online, and they can do it. They can do it on their phones. Now, I agree, Jesse. Sometimes I would do it as bell work. A lot of times, if I'm out, that would be a great one to do. Yeah. No, I agree. We got the idea, Jess. Yep. Very good. I like that. I think, yeah, I'll let Jesse respond, but yeah, as long as if you're not going to, definitely better than not doing them. And, you know, after a while, you've got the idea. I think, what is there, 44? Or there's a lot of these building block quizzes. So, you know, once in a while, you may not need to do the full report. What I did forget to discuss, I think, was the, you know, how do I know? Mark had asked early on, how do I know, or when do I administer these building blocks? Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys play out these questions. I agree, it could be quick. It's, you know, depending on how difficult the questions are, of course. So in your reading materials, I don't know if you were able to open up or print out the student progress sheet. It's a challenge area 2.9 student progress sheet. Now this would be for the entire challenge area, so it's not just building block 2.9, but all the building blocks in this particular challenge area. Have you guys looked at the progress sheet? And if not, could you open it? Let me know if you have opened it, please, or if you can't find it. It's on the reading materials. It's the bottom one. So yeah, it's, you know, just want to bring you, this is something that I really have come to appreciate. Like I said, it's, you know, if you want to have them complete the whole sheet at once, you need to wait until you're done with all the building blocks, but before you do the challenge area. But it allows them to respond to statements that sometimes are really picky, but that's what we're trying to do. This isn't a summative test. It's just trying to parse their understanding. And then it also allows them to rank themselves 1 through 5 on their understanding. And I think this is, once again, teaching them how to learn. We're teaching them when they're on their own. How do you know when you understand something? How do I reflect? What are some things? And so, not only is it functional for that topic, but it helps teach them how to better study. All right, we will continue. Well, there it is. So how do you know when to give a building block quiz? So anybody have different ideas than what I have just shared about when to give it? I mean, my idea is when I think they're ready for a test, I'm going to give it to them to make sure, to let them find out. I tell them that's a lot of their studying is, them looking, reading, passive. They've got to take the risk that Kelly was talking about. They got to actually commit to testing themselves, and I think this is the formative ways approach is nice. But any other ideas as far as when you give the building block quiz? Mark had asked earlier about do I give before or after? I could foresee as a pretest, if you've got a really strong clientele that had Bio 1 or something, and you want to find out what they remember or what their skill level is, certainly you could use it for that. Yeah, after teaching. Yeah, I think it really, you're correct with my students, but I think I could foresee a small private school that goes, might being able to use them. Agreed. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. No, I agree. You are correct with that. I have a slogan I painted on my walls. I guess my age, I can get away with it. It's answer the freaking question. And obviously there's humor and little sarcasm there, but the whole point is what you're saying, Jesse, that you have to read the question 3 times before you know what it's saying. There's so many kids that don't get points because they did, even despite knowing the biology, they didn't answer what the question was asking, and because they didn't understand it. And I don't think we help them develop that ability as well as we probably could, and I think AP Insight does a good job with that. Absolutely. I didn't mean to open up a can of worms there, Jesse. I was just implying there are some schools out there that might have you be able to use that as a pretest. Some of these as a pretest. For instance, this one here, 2.9. Okay, sounds like, and I don't know how long you've been teaching, but it sounds like a lot of us have been around for a little bit. Any response to these questions? What are some strategies you have used to build up to the building block quiz, or you might use to build up to it? 4th year, okay. You're a master teacher, Annie. Okay. No, you know, I like what you said with stock answer because you're right. Every unit is probably a little bit different. What I like, what I have found by doing the lab at the end gives them time to digest that material. So you're not teaching to a day or two before the test. Kind of gives them time to come in for help or go back and reread. Who am I kidding? Read for the first time, to study. But I agree. Then take the quiz. I find students once they, I find once they take some type of quiz, some type of formative assessment, now they're interested in asking questions. All right, all right, so we're nearing the end here. So what can building block quiz reports tell us about student progress towards their understanding? And I agree. I don't. Maybe I talk too much, but the some great ideas like you just said there is. I just with 48-minute periods, I just feel like I don't have the luxury of doing that. When reality is, I should probably make the time because it helps them understand the construct. Yeah. That's good because these are different questions. They'll start off probably with very concrete, and yet none of these are concrete type questions. Yeah. Yep. And that's you just figure it out as not figure it out. You refine it as you go. Yeah, and they really are different. It's very good, Kelly. I tell you what, I'm all in on this program, and I've been involved with AP for a long time, and I'm finally figuring it out that we're really teaching and testing at really the enduring understanding level. It was very difficult for me to transition from that traditional way of teaching biology. Yep. Yep. Agreed. Appreciate it. And if you have any other comments for the reflective questions? Yeah, I mean that's our goal. That's our goal to when we kick them out of the school. That's what we want them to be doing. Will do. Write that down. We use our Interwrite board to make videos that a lot of times these questions, I will make a video of diagnosing what the question's asking and how I answer it. And for the free response questions for the challenge areas too. And so then, students can watch those at home at their own pace. So YouTube's an awesome tool. Yeah, I tell the kids sometimes I do stuff just because I'm entertaining myself. Yeah, Paul Anderson's not even teaching anymore. That's how good he is at those. Got advertisers paying him. So this is and I'll pause, Jesse, when you're done there, but Share What Works is, have any of you utilized this? It's kind of AP, not kind of, it's AP Insights version of the AP community. Wow, that's a powerful statement, Jess. You agree? I agree. So I don't know if any of you have used this, but this, it's definitely encouraged to kind of just ask questions, to look on there and find out how other people are using it. Um, and, maybe find out if there's any of those other tools that you're not sure and don't want to point and click and read them all. Find out if there's any of the strong ones out there. But it's a smaller community, which makes it a little more user friendly. Yeah, I'm with you. I have used it, but not nearly as much. And at my stage in my career, it's overwhelming the number of resources. And so, I'm definitely picky in what I utilize. But it is a good resource for many teachers. But I agree, it's everybody. We're all at different places. Agreed, Kelly. She's outstanding. Yeah, I think she is the moderator. I can speak. The moderator for Share What Works. Dr. Megan. Yep. Outstanding. Okay, we're about finished and around at 8 o'clock too. So that's that AP Insight. And Jesse, you had some questions and frustrations. I do recommend. They're pretty good. Maybe contacting them, and maybe they can make your answer some of your questions or help you facilitate some of that. And they listen, and they're constantly. You've probably seen the format change, not the questions. So if there's a concern, they're very likely make changes. So it might be worth doing. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. They would like you to take this survey. I'll be here for, please include your name and school district. And I'll be around for a couple more minutes. You're welcome, guys. Yep, likewise. You're welcome, man.